We've talked about a bunch of like all the funny like loopholes with Jew stuff. What are the wildest things that other religions do?
Yeah.
What are the craziest like I actually found a few like, but what is like, because what is the craziest like loopholes and like traditions that like other people do? Because you're sort of an expert on all the religions in some way.
Yeah. So a lot of it's based on sex in every religion. You're like Metzger used to have a bit about it. God's just very concerned with your holes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Holes. Soaking in the Mormon religion.
Yeah.
Where you can't pump, but you can just get in there and leave it in there.
That's what I do when I'm trying not to bust.
Yeah.
But then
you've soaked in moments.
But then the third person who have you heard where the jump on the bed?
So that's not me.
Because if you're just like sitting there and then you're inside the girl, but you're not moving, so you're not violating.
Wait, say it again?
Then there's a third party who's jumping on the bed.
So that's like, hey, stop it, stop. Yeah,
that's not true.
It's not me. Yeah, that's. I don't know for sure about that third person thing, but the soaking is a thing.
Yeah.
Soaking is so funny.
That's great because like it's not premarital sex. The Catholics who go anal, premarital anal. Somehow that's nicer. When I heard that, I was like, that's the next level. Yeah. You went straight to Mach 10. That's crazy.
They're forced to. They had no choice.
Yeah, there's no choice.
Hand was forced.
Yeah, hey, use your. How about a handy? How about a handy or a blowy?
I mean, all the stuff in like Afghanistan where you've heard where they're like, you know, they'll get kids to dress like male boys to dress up as like girls, as like these concubines, and they're like, yeah, nothing gay about that.
Yeah,
you're right though. That was one thing I think Kurt mentioned this too, because he, you know, I guess you and him must like you both know a ton about religion.
Very similar upbringing, but
kind
separate.
of. Yeah, they're all
always
kind of
commiserate
the same.
on it.
But yeah, he was even saying, he was like, they always talk about like the Catholic priests like being pedophiles. He was like, all the other ones were just as much pedophiles.
Yeah.
he
did a big joke about Greek people, and he goes, because their Greek, the chick he was dating, her Greek father didn't like him. He's like, you don't like me? You're from, wait, he's like, he's a diner monkey from Ass Fuck Island. What a great way to call that. A
diner monkey
from Ass Fuck Island. Oh, God.
Yeah, but the Catholics get so, it's like I almost hack, but you're like, you're like, by the way, the Muslims like doing just as much. And he goes, but in the Jehovah's Witnesses, they just keep, the only thing is it more just like the Catholics couldn't keep it in house. Like the other religions were just better at making a family business.
Yeah. Here's one, Shakers. Which is a Christian.
Shakers?
Shakers were known. They were like a early 1900s or late 1800s religious Christian group in America, and they were known for making amazing furniture.
Like Mennonites, kind of.
Yeah, and it was like high level shit. If you could find old Shaker like furniture, that still holds up. It's like classic. But they didn't have marital sex. They didn't breed. So what they did was
that's a life, huh?
They didn't want to do it. So they could only they died out.
A bunch of Al Bundys making fucking
they died out because they had to recruit to get their numbers. So if you got
hell?
Yeah. So,
but why don't they just do it where they like, okay, we put the cum inside you, but I'm not delivering it.
They pull out. They still fucked.
What?
Oh yeah, they still fucked.
So they didn't want to procreate,
right?
And they're called Shakers?
Shakers.
Is that the official name of the religion?
Yeah, I think they were the Shakers.
How many were there?
Hundreds at a time, and now they had to recruit. So it's going to die out. But they'd have to train their kids to not blast loads inside their women, because like, how are you going to do that day one? Of course you're like, oh, I'm not going to pull out.
Yeah.
So
where do they get kids from?
When they recruited them.
Oh,
it's a good question.
How do you recruit kids?
That's a good question. How do you recruit
Isn't that called kidnapping?
Yeah, it might have been that.
You're like,
it's going on your herd message.
It might have been a whole family already. It's a good question. I never thought of that in college.
Family.
But what they would do is they would let them practice on postmenopausal women.
Just in case you mess up?
Before they got married.
I mean, that is a good way to make you never want to have sex. Is you go, hey, Granny, come over here. You can, take a spin with your grandmother.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, but back in those days, grandmothers were 28.
I'm gonna quickly look this up.
Look at Shakers. Yeah, see if my memory holds. I love when I'm on Rogan. He's like, is that true? Jamie looked that up. I'm like, don't look it up, dude. It might or might not be true. I'm not a fucking source.
Yeah, remember we talking about my memory.
The reason why I wanted to
check it
is because I felt like I wasn't saying that your information's wrong. I was like, I bet you there is like a real name. And they do have a name.
What is it?
Christ. They believe in Christ's second appearing, known as the Shakers. They're a Protestant sect.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not just like some. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out like this is a real thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
they were Quakers, so that almost makes sense.
They started in 1747. the French, they were a Quakers thing.
Yeah.
Fuck. And there's only hundreds of them at a time, you're saying?
I think so. Maybe thousands. I don't know. Maybe they were. But back then, everyone was like, I'm looking for another way to do Christ.
Yeah.
I want to be out there, but
they're the comedian version of the guy. Every guy that comes out of college that's like, what if I, you know what I mean?
Redefine comedy. I'm going to change the game. Like, how about just do one good thing first and then mix it up?
That was always the most confusing thing.
I'm going to do my next special in front of only monkeys. You're like, just do a special once first and then do the monkey thing.
I'm going to do my special.
I was always confused why there was like
black screen just on
Christians.
Yeah.
That always confused me.
31 flavors of Jesus.
So many different kinds, and all my friends were like, "Yeah, we're like a different one." And,
it's just like,
and then I'd be like, "Do you know what it is?" And they're like, "No, I don't know." They never know what the differentiation.
They just know theirs is right.
They just go, "I go to this thing."
Jimmy Dore, back before he was like political, he had a great joke about it where he's like, "You ask anybody, what's your religion?" They're like, "Catholic." They're like, "Why are you Catholic?" Like, "Well, my parents were Catholic." He goes, "Man, I wouldn't let my parents pick out a pair of pants for me. And you're letting them pick out your God?"
Yeah, it is really true.
Yeah.
But then also there's the other side of it when you meet someone that's religious and their parents aren't religious, they're all a little bit, what's going on?
Yeah,
with
you got into it for no reason. I mean, it's pure, but damn.
Yeah, it's very pure. You go to that guy's like, that's the real deal right now.
Yeah.
Your parents are religious? No, not at all. And you go, when did you start? Like 35? You go, you kill something like what?
What happened? What were you searching
something
for?
happened.
Like white guys with like the Muslim knit cap, you know? You ever see that?
Yeah.
No, I honestly, it was just shopping around.
Yeah.
This one just sort of spoke to me. Nothing out of the ordinary. Did you know any Muslims? No, I just sort of poked around and just
lost.
And I went to all the churches. I thought this was the funnest one. Just wearing around.
Funnest, you say?
There's a Bible Old Testament, Original Testament Bible passage about Jethro is my bar mitzvah passage. Yitro, and he was one of the people that left Egypt with the Jews, but not a Jew. Because they were like, we're all leaving. The other slaves were like, well, would you mind? I also don't want to be a slave. Can I just tag off with you guys? And God was like, that's a good question.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, all right. You guys can come too.
Well, if he was smart, he'd just say, okay, I'm Jewish too, though.
Right. So anyway.
But they weren't accepting at that time.
That time they would be. When David was in charge, they were so powerful, they're like, we're not taking converts right now because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. It's like being friends with any of the LA comics. It's like, no. Like Rogan's got to cut off his friend group. Because like, you're not liking me because of me. You're liking me because of my plot. Tell you what, as soon as I end my podcast, I'm open for friends again. But anyway, Jethro was like, sweet, I'm out, I'm free. And he goes, I don't know if I want to be Jewish. Let me go examine all the religions of the world. Which, where did he get in the fucking, where he was? He
did a couple.
Travel a month by horse? Where are you going? You definitely don't know Buddhism. It's too far.
He only did a couple. He didn't check out Scientology.
And then he came back and he was like, oh, Judaism's the real one.
So the guy that was like, oh, I need to go see if I want to bang some other girls before my wife. He banged a couple, but
right.
Wasn't the bender you thought it would be.
That's the worst. You go on a bender and it's like not even available. You're like, I'm here to fuck bitches. And everyone in the bar is like, no thanks. Like, what do you mean no thanks? I'm here for my bender.
Yeah, just coming home, baby. Honestly, I realized that you're the only one for me.
What you guys do in the bathroom for? You doing coke? I got coke. I'm on a bender. Give me some. I'm like, no, dude, it's my coke, stranger.
Yo, benders suck.
Benders are boring.
So that's a pretty good one. Shakers is really good.
Let's see what other craziness.
There was a couple crazy ones like India where they that I looked up. Talking about this, and they throw babies from a tower for good luck. So
whoa.
This is like now, and they catch it in a sheet. But it's like they still do it where they go on the top of the thing and they throw a newborn baby out, and a bunch of guys catch it in a sheet. And it's like there had to be lots of times where they missed it or whatever,
or just bound like they're holding it too taut.
That's exactly. Yeah, I think they hold it over a thing. Yeah, 100%. Or the opposite, where it's like it's still too close to the ground, where the baby goes to the sheet and your hand, and you just go plunk.
Like the early bungee cords, we're like, okay, hang it so it's a foot off the ground, so we're good. They're like, no, it's gonna stretch.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Like there must have been some of that shit.
Yep, for sure. This is actually so when I was doing this hour, especially like at Edinburgh, where you have to be outside like collecting money afterwards, and like so you'd meet fans afterwards. But anywhere.
Do you have to collect money yourself?
Oh yeah.
When was the last time you did that?
I was gonna do it this year, but I'm not gonna.
It's kind of embarrassing, no?
No, I thought it was, but then I saw like their version of like high level like TV guys doing it also. It's either
do you have a high level TV guy like coming around like begging for change?
It's either you charge $12 for tickets, or you say it's free.
What?
Give me what it's worth outside afterwards.
But you stand there personally with like a
with
hat.
a bucket. Yeah.
I remember specifically one time I'm like scarred from that. I was like, I brought this like hot chick that I was like started talking to in Toronto to a comedy show, and it was like, and I was like headlining, it did pretty good, and then after I finished, the host went up and he comes up and he's like, okay, we're gonna pass this bucket around, like these comics really need this money, you know what I mean? Like honestly, and I'm trying to tell this chick I'm famous, you know, this guy was like, you know, it's just like honestly, this is how they make their money, and it's like whatever you can give, they'll appreciate it. And I was like, I want to stand up and be like, honestly, don't, I'm actually pretty good.
no, everyone bet me. Everyone bet me. I'm good.
I remember just being like with the girl, just being like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah, but it's a standard Edinburgh.
You're saying there's like movie stars, or like maybe not movie stars, but famous people.
No, legitimately,
they come out with a hat.
People doing like 500 seaters, and they come out, with
Stop it.
Yeah, did you stand in the back? People pass you. The young kids give you £1. The rich people give you 20,
and it's super normal.
It's normalized. At the end, you're like, so you know how this works? You got in for free to see a movie star. You got into Kevin Hart for free.
But can't the movie star have like his like someone else do? So
some people do that. Some people do that. Stand next to you or whatever. Like,
you want to look him in the eye if they don't pay.
Oh yeah, I want to guilt him into it. And also because it's me, I would get not just money. I would get drugs. I would get girls' numbers.
Sure.
You know, it was just the easiest way to connect in some way.
Yeah.
But then as I'm out there, I was doing Jew there. People would be like, "Hey, I have something similar in my religion."
So a lot of people would tell you cool things.
Yeah. So I think in some sort of Hindu, it's like I think it's Hindu. I might be wrong. If you're on a period, they have a little hut outside for you to fucking wait it out in.
Yeah, a lot of religious have the period stuff, like the mikveh or whatever, like the version. Yeah.
Can't be in with us. You're disgusting right now.
It's unclean. It's unpure.
Hopefully you recover.
That is such a funny one.
Beat it, you bloody whore.
Your wife comes in, she's on her period and being grumpy, so you put her in the tent for 3 days.
She's got to hide it like she got bit by a zombie. It's like, no, I'm fine.
What a different, when you think about like how like bitched around guys are now, and be like, you like right now, if you like, the girls are like, I should be able to get 3 days off work and do whatever I want in period. You're like, before you're like, if a girl was like naggy to me because she was on her period, we used to put you in a hut for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like,
your hair would be longer so I could drag you by it. Fucking what the fuck?
Just appreciate what you got now.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be equal. Like, well, then why am I so much stronger than you? And I haven't even worked out in years.
I actually said that because I've been talking about how the internet still says that one thing, but then the real life will tell you the other thing. Like, just how internet's like, women should be allowed to walk through a dark alley at night, and the real life's like, yeah, but don't, obviously. Like, you know what I mean?
I should be able to hold my wallet in my hand. But like, don't do that in Avenue D.
And the internet's like how like girls are just as strong as men, but then why is it so easy to put you in my trunks? Like, you know?
Joe List had a joke about it where women are like, women rule the world during the Women's March. Women rule the world.
Yeah, I love that joke.
And he's like, oh, so we're good then.
Yeah, I love that joke. That was one of my favorite ones in that special. Yeah. Women, we ruled the world. He's like, then what are we here for? I thought the whole thing was that you didn't.
Shouldn't this be a men's rally?
I thought the whole reason you were here is that you didn't.
Yeah.